I'd rather make a difference as opposed to making money, because if I make money first and it's not making a difference for your business, I failed to listen.
Welcome to the Inside Scoop for Outside Sales, the show that dives deep with industry leaders to get you actionable insights to help field sales professionals like you grow and achieve more. Here's your host, Trey Gibson.
Hey everybody, it's Trey Gibson, the CEO and founder of SPOTIO, and you're listening to the Inside Scoop on Outside Sales. And I'm excited to introduce our guest. This time it's Brandon Verrico. Brandon I've known for years, primarily because he's a SPOTIO power user, but we're not here to talk about that today. What I want to talk about Brandon is he is an expert in outside sales. What do you know? That's what this podcast is about. So I thought we'd come together and talk about some of the tactics and tips and tricks that he uses day in and day out to be good at what he does. Brandon, why don't you say hello to everybody, and maybe if I forgot anything, feel free to chime in and we'll get rolling.
Not a problem. Just, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody out there. Not sure what time scale you're on right now, but great to connect with you. Thanks, Trey.
Absolutely. So let's just start off at the beginning. How did you even get into sales in the first place?
So 20 years ago, not on that retirement scale, I was graduating high school. So I was at that point of going into the dry cleaning industry back in 2002, 8 years ago by, and end up getting brain surgery completed at Cleveland Clinic, and coming back to the dry cleaners really was to press close, just like I did before.
Yeah.
And then just opportunity had opened with sales, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do this. And went out there the first day, knocked on the first door, signed the first customer, and I said, maybe I should try one more door and see what happens.
Yeah, one more. They've got number two, I bet, right?
Correct.
It's always just one more door. So brain surgery, that must have been pretty intense. Sounds serious.
Yes. So I used to have the grand mal seizures, shaking on the ground, out for 12 to 24 hours, not responsive. Wow. It was really tough. And, looking back on those days, losing your license for 6 months here in Pennsylvania, I had about 20 of those in my life from the time I was 15 until the time I was 27. Wow. So a lot of life change that had gone on in that, plus, deepening my faith and really pushing me toward a higher calling, which not only is sales, but, motivational speaking at the same time.
Wow. That's crazy. So 12 to 24 hours you would be in a seized state, I guess. That's incredible. Well, it sounds like the surgery was successful, and here we are all these years later.
Absolutely. Thank God there's just too many people, around that, supported me, but obviously there's, a higher calling that I know that I have, and I'm thankful for it, because, there's one person that you can have an impact with, and that's a stranger, somebody you don't even know, walking into businesses and walking down the street, the grind, as they call it, but a positive effect on it.
That's great. We're going to have people that sell B2C and also B2B listening to this podcast, and I know you've done both and currently do B2B. So what was that transition like? When you're going B2C, doing field sales there, and transition to B2B, was there some things that you learned that carried over that really helped you get a jump start?
Absolutely. You're going into the residential, cold calling atmosphere. You're meeting a lot of homeowners. When you go there, you may meet, the maid or somebody like the house sitter, babysitter, something along those lines. But it wasn't too much on the contractual side. So you didn't really have to worry about contracts at the residential level. You had to speak with the homeowner. That was much easier than going into the business world, because contracts, agreements, CEOs, presidents, who you need to get in front of. It's not just a matter of knocking on the door and walking in and speaking directly to them. So there has to be a pretty much a staged process in what you're learning and how you're equipping the tools and resources around you as you're making those cold calls.
So when you knock on a door, you're talking to the CEO of that house right there. Whereas B2B, you actually have to kind of, do you typically go in and, you talk to the receptionist and then have to get access to that higher level?
Right. And those that have either been in the sales industry or are new to it, the gatekeeper is what it's known as. There's so much potential that you have to build a relationship with somebody, but trying to make that person feel that they're important, that they're valuable, is going to make them say, hey, I want this person to be involved in our company as opposed to, hey, is John Smith available? And you're really more or less worried about speaking to them as opposed to speaking to the gatekeepers, they're called.
That's interesting. So do you have some methods that you use to, like, that first interaction with the gatekeeper that you like to make them feel part of the family, if you will?
Right. Not even saying that I'm Brandon Verrico from UniFirst Corporation. That might not even come out in the first 5 minutes. It's more or less walking in the door, seeing something on the wall. You see their name. Maybe their name signifies an award.
Yeah.
Maybe they have kids. Oh, are these your 3 children? You don't want to say grandkids. You just want, are these your 3 children?
Yeah.
you get the point of you're building rapport and relationship as opposed to being transactional. You want to be relational in that atmosphere, so you can really gauge, is this going to grow into something, or am I just looking to bypass them? Because the gatekeeper can be not only your best friend, but they could be what's known as the coach or the user buyer that's going to help to understand, hey, here's who we use, here's what's going on, here's some issues and problems. Even though they might not make the decisions, they can still really gauge what next steps you can possibly take.
And how do you find success shifting from talking to the gatekeeper to getting access to that next level?
So trying to find out from the user or the coach buyer, trying to find out from them, hey, if you could be honest with me, based on your current program that you have with this particular vendor, is there any issues or problems that you would love to be resolved? Like today, if you could really pick and choose, you had the magic wand, would you do anything? And trying to gauge what they say, because they might not be the buyer, they might not sign the agreement, but believe it or not, they have a lot more pull because they see the services that are being provided. Gatekeeper is there. Every driver coming in to drop off, product and service, they see them, so they know what's going on. They're a part. They're down on floor level is what they call it.
Yeah. So backing up a little bit, how do you even determine which businesses or prospects you're going to go visit? I mean, I'm sure there's certain maybe verticals you target, but like, do you just poke on a map, or do you like to have a territory plan that you like to work?
So strategy is always the best approach, having a day-to-day strategy, putting that information down, not the morning of, but the night before, a week before. So I actually have a targeted area for, when you're looking at Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, when I'm in the field. So I say, hey, I'm going to be in this particular zip code area. There's, let's just say 10 zip codes that I'm going to be a part of. So I'm not driving an hour per appointment. I'm driving 10 minutes or less. And I'm trying to set up a cold call. Basically, cold call blitz is what they usually are called. But if I'm going to a business park, I'm not going to say I'm going to the business park for one meeting. I want to go to the business park to generate 5 to 10 leads as I am there, whether it's before or after. And the key story is always a good approach. You ever hear the car key?
I don't think so, no.
So you jiggle your keys in your hand. Hey, I do have a meeting down the street, but I'm not going to be able to stay here long. Maybe I could stop by next week on Tuesday when I'm back in town. You jiggle those keys, makes it seem like you got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully there is an appointment that you are going to. You're not just jiggling keys to jiggle.
Yeah, right.
Not the music awards or anything.
That's good. Okay, so do you do a 2-step approach, and do you typically set appointments and then go and visit them?
Right. I know a lot of people will do the phone calls, emails, cold calling, B2B, just in general. I do all forms of it. Basically, I'm just trying to find out if I give a call to somebody that I might know already, I might ask the question, what's the best way to get in touch with the president of this company? Most often they're going to say email, but I'm going to say, are they that good at responding to emails? And then they'll come back, probably not. Here's when they're in the office. There's going to be a better time to come. So basically you're setting up your day so you know when to show up and when not to be there. If somebody's never there on Mondays, you're going to waste your time going there every Monday without finding out that answer.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I like that. So you're actually spending some legwork, finding out who the decision maker is or the person you need to talk to, and typically when they're in the office. And then you can schedule your time to best target that. So if you stop by Monday morning and they're not there, you might go back by in the evening or something, like kind of try to spend your time wisely, I guess, to increase that contact rate.
Correct. The restaurant industry is tough in the mornings between, 7 to 9 and then also 11 to 1 and 4 to 6, because they have those rush hours, they have the busy time. So you want to go there in between those times when hey, managers are usually there in the morning for setup, or at least late afternoon before the big rush for the dinner time comes in. So if you're in the restaurant industry and you're really pushing that, you don't want to go with those times when more customers are there, even though they're busy, even though it's a good time for you to grab a meal, you don't want to try to build a relationship with somebody just yet.
Right.
Because they're going to say, I got to go. I don't have time to talk. And you may lose out on the opportunity to actually build that rapport and relationship and set that appointment.
How many of your new customers or the customers you win, like how long is that process? How many times do you find that you have to like continue to follow up and build that relationship before they actually buy?
So, you're hoping after the first meeting or the first interaction with them, you move one step closer. But I typically say it's an 8 to 12 step process.
Wow.
If there's contracts involved, it might be 5 years on some agreements, with the service company I work for.
Yeah.
So you may have to build that rapport and relationship, but that every day, every week, you're stopping by, however often it might be when you're in the area, Christmas time, the holidays, you can really gauge, hey, I'm going to drop something off for them to tell them to have a happy holiday season, branded, just to kind of leave my mark. But it could take as little as one stop closes in our industry, people that don't have contracts and agreements. So opportunity always comes to find out the truth, not just what a previous rep may have wrote down just to pad the stats. It's not working for you. So find out the truth from the direct decision maker or the person that's going to make some calls.
Nice. And so once you land that customer, how do you kind of make that special? Is there something you do for new clients or new customers when they come on board with you?
So my thing with it goes, I'm the weirdest salesperson you're ever going to meet. That's what I tell them, because I care more about you and the relationship than I do about the transaction and the sale. I'd rather make a difference as opposed to making money, because if I make money first and it's not making a difference for your business, I failed to listen. So I always make sure that that's something that's known from the start and the end. Whenever the contract is signed, the services are started. But I always, first time appointments, I send out a thank you card to them, blue ink, thank you card. Thank you for your time, handwritten.
Wow.
Yes. And I do that if they become a customer as well. Birthdays, things that they may mention to me, hey, I'm going away on my anniversary. I know that their anniversary is in August. So guess what? The following year, if I have to wait 2-3 years, I'm going to be sending them a card, handwritten. I hope you and your wife had a great 25th anniversary this year. Anything that you can do to track the information and the tools that we have to track, it's unbelievable how much info you can, really pass off.
That's really good. I mean, I read a book. It was, what was this book? It was about the greatest car salesman in the history of the world. This dude had sold, through his lifetime, sold like 100,000 cars or something. And this was back in the day when there was no CRM. He actually had a Rolodex with people's birthday on it. And every day he'd wake up, whose birthday is it today? And he'd write them a birthday card, put it in the mail. And it's those little touches like that are kind of old school, but people don't do them anymore. And you stand out. I mean, you really stand out when you do that. So I love that story. That's good. And I'm sure it makes an impact.
It's a positive word, because the one thing that I always say and have learned is small acts make big impacts. So you don't have to think that what's it really going to do? It's like, no, you're building rapport and building relationship. You want that to continue to mold and to grow to the point where you step back 5 years later, if it's that long account that you had to wait on and you look back and you're like, wow, look what has come from this, because the rapport has grown, the relationship has grown, and there's just so many opportunities that could be presented as far as business with them and then other clients in the area. You follow up with them. That's another part. I follow up with the clients as service continues, and it's not my job, but I want them to know, if you need anything, here's my cell phone, here's my email, get in touch with me. I'm not here to be the salesman that leaves. The relationship is established for good.
Wow. That's what I was going to ask, is like, do you manage the relationships? And if so, how you do that? So your job responsibility isn't even to manage the relationship. You just do it because you want to provide that high level of customer experience and build that relationship.
Correct, which I consider to be of utmost importance. Length of time is great, but when you get to know somebody and you walk in the door and they ask you about your kid, you ask them about theirs, and you have that relationship with them that's so much deeper. They're not looking at you as a salesperson. They're looking at you as basically it's a friend. Like, they have a business relationship with somebody that they know, like, and trust. Who are they going to do business with? You got to know, like, and trust somebody to really give them full-fledged effort. And also, you're going to say, hey, we want to use your company, but it's because of you. So as a salesman, you have direct impact on your success story. Your company is the company, but you're the image. You're the face of the company.
So how long do you think it takes, like in your business or in B2B, like to build out that kind of, because this is the long game, right? Like what you're talking about is, I'm sure you get some sales, one call, one close, but you're kind of putting in the work for the long game. How long have you found it takes to like really build a good territory, a good customer base? I mean, should people expect to put in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, to really kind of get it going?
Well, I am going to bring up SPOTIO because I've used it at previous companies. I've continued that to new companies I've gone to. So I have over 3,000 clients here in Western PA that I've already built rapport, built relationship with. So it may take, most companies say 6 months. It's going to take you 6 months to really start to build a pipeline. It may take up to 12 months for you really to get past, that first hump of success.
Yeah.
So I would say the more or less 3 year. I always say 3 years seems to always be what companies use to say first year is learning, second year is growing, third year is you're off and running.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about kind of onboarding or training for new hires. So many, we saw a big hiring boom recently. It's kind of slowed down, but our customer base was just massively growing, and we've seen some with good onboarding, and others just kind of say, hey, here's your business cards, or here's some contracts. Good luck. Go out there. What do you think companies should do to really get their new team as successful as fast as possible? How can they prep or, through onboarding, help their new reps be successful?
I think when you're looking at it from the approach of how to do things, I always go back to, the young kids, our children. If somebody out there is a parent, congratulations to you. But remember, if you're a parent, you were a young kid at one point in time. Training wheels went on the bike before it was just two wheel. You had four wheels to get you from here to there, and it was so you didn't get hurt, right? Sometimes kids still fell off the bike because they were trying to go a little too fast. They were trying to, just tackle the world, and they just thought they could do it, right? Nothing wrong with that positive mindset. But the way that I look at it is, I think that training wheels have to be something that are there for the business, the business to business sales, almost to the point where they don't feel that they have to be successful on their first day, but they have to have success stories start to build. So if they go into their office and they have training, hands-on training is always the best approach to take. Don't have somebody watch videos galore.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, read this book. It's like, that might be a positive thing, but what you want to do is you want to get them out in the field. You want to show them how to do it. If you don't show somebody how to do it, how you want it to be done, nobody's going to end up doing it the right way. So when you come into a sales job, I think that's where the difference maker can really be placed. What are we doing to make sure that our company's successful? No. How can we make those that are sales reps, salesmen, how can we make them successful so then in turn the company is successful? Because you got to start with your team. Build the team, build the dream is the mentality to have.
Yeah. Are there certain metrics that you track when you're first getting started, or that companies should track on their reps? Maybe it's businesses visited or business cards left or something. Is there like some measurements that you like?
So the company I work for, it says 30 points of contact. That's not to say calls. That could be stopping into a business, picking up a business card, leaving your business card, updated information. So you want to have a set number. So if that's the case, you want to basically knock on 6 new doors a day. And when you look at that at the end of a year, you say, wow, I have a few hundred clients that I've actually had the opportunity to meet. Out of that, what's your ratio of close, coming? How many appointments do you set a week? How many are closing? How many businesses are you just stopping into? So I think that has to be the case right there. You have to have a plan before you can pursue prosperity.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Like when I was doing sales, I always tell people I'm like the most boring sales rep ever, because I get in a routine and I just follow it, but it works. Like, the harder I work, the luckier I get type mentality, just, hey, I'm going to make this many calls a day, this many visits, whatever it is, and just keep in a cycle. And over time, it just kind of takes care of itself. And like you mentioned, 30 touches a day, like that just compounds over time, and it's going to lead to some form of success, right?
Correct. When you're in the residential world, you go to a cul-de-sac, there's 5 or 6 homes, when I worked in that field of residential, I was knocking on the doors in that cul-de-sac, or the mentality of, if you're on a main street, it's 2 doors to the left, 2 doors to the right, 3 doors across the street, because it's within eye view of that house that you're currently at, that sees the order hanging on the door.
Right.
So you really, hey, we deliver to your neighbor across the street. You don't have to say a name. You can just say, hey, your neighbor, you see the bag over there? Very simple, very easy. You're basically giving them a reason to say yes, as opposed to just another sales rep. You're building the value approach.
Love it. You know, sales is tough. Like it's one of those jobs. There's a lot of gratification in it. There's money to be made, but it's tough. Like, what are some of the ways that you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep going, day after day?
So one of the books, that I love to read, absolutely, like it's such a positive addition to the sales world, even though it's an FBI agent. Never Split the Difference.
Oh yeah, Chris Voss, is that it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love the book, but when I read that book about 6 years ago for the first time, it really helped me to understand that every no is one step closer to a yes. When I heard that moving forward, I didn't use no as a defeat. I use it as, it's one step closer to yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of reps probably falter, is because they get a lot of no's and they look at it as an unsuccessful day, or they're carrying that the rest of the day with them, which means if they're supposed to knock on 10 to 15 businesses a day, that first one they go to, they might be done for the rest of the day. So they lost 8 hours because of a 1-minute appointment. A cold call.
Right. So
right.
Just every no is one step closer to a yes. I like that. It's just keep moving forward. What about some of the ways it sounds like you're a big reader, which I am too. Are there other ways that you or other people can invest in their success and invest in themselves?
So just like eating, we need to eat, 3 or 4 meals a day. We got to drink water. We got to stay hydrated. We have to invest in ourselves. So I say that the best investment that we can ever make is in us, because if we're not filled, how can we possibly fill anybody else with positivity or approach or impact? So I think that getting up in the morning, the first thing you should say is something that's positive, as opposed to, great, it's Monday morning.
Right. Yeah.
And the end of the day, I say the same thing. At the end of the day, I go, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And what could I do different tomorrow? Right. And I do that when I leave the doors that I go on, the doors that I knock on. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? How can I do it different the next time? Because I'm not perfect. So I can't say I know exactly how to make a cold call to every business person and every owner out there. No, it's a learning process. I say, never think that you know it all, but rather that you want to be a learn it all.
That's great. Love it. Well, I got a few questions that I like to ask. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Looking back, it would have to be, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to do everything right. I'm not going to be successful on day one. But what I can promise is this: I'm never going to give up. Ever.
Love that.
I did it too many times. I gave up too many times, thinking that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So belief wasn't there.
That's great. We had talked a little bit. You had mentioned some of the things you do for your first thing you wake up in the morning, but I was curious if you have any sort of morning or evening or routine that you found has really kind of set you up for success.
If anything, I would say that I've gone into the notion of, I leave what happened yesterday. It's kind of like the driving mentality. Looking back in the rearview mirror, you don't want to focus there. You got to focus on the road ahead of you. So when I get up in the morning, I don't want to see myself faltering or going the same way that I did before. So I'm making sure that I have my schedule pre-planned, so I can say, I know where I'm going today, as opposed to, all right, so what's on the docket? What's the weather like? I'm trying to get myself ahead of schedule, but also showing up on time for appointments.
Final question I have is there a certain song you put on and crank it loud when you really need to get fired up? Or is it more of you're just the motivational tape guy that gets you there?
Right. I mean, I'll listen to praise and worship music. I'll do that part, but believe it or not, I'll turn Les Brown on, or a book, a podcast, something like that, that's going to aid in that success, that's going to really push me, not to listen to a book that says, you're not going to be successful, you're going to fail, and you're going to give up every single time. No, I'm going to listen to something that's going to propel me and fuel me almost to the point where I'm not going to give up, nor am I going to give in.
Well, Brandon, is there anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about that you wanted to? I'm trying to think through, or did we touch it all?
So, the only other thing that I was thinking of is, just, kind of in the process of the, notes, and just based on the questions and such that you asked, last thing that I would think about would be, what principles, in that principles tab, just talk about the industry that you're in. And they always say, like, let the standard be the standard. Coach Mike Tomlin talks about that. Let the standard be the standard. When you go into the field, when you make your way out there, just feel that you're a part of that industry. Get to know it. Find out about it. If it's automotive, if it's restaurant, if it's industrial, find out what the buying motives are. Find out what's going to be the trigger points. What's really going to give somebody more reason to say yes, as opposed to pointing you out the door and saying no. So do some research about the companies you go into, the industries you're going into, and find out some wins from current clients that you can use as leverage to say, hey, this same business in the same industry had the same problems you're having, but guess what? Here's how we responded to it. So please go out there and find the answer instead of thinking you know it all.
Yeah. It's awesome, Brandon. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're on LinkedIn, right? So if any of the listeners want to contact you, should they just track you down on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. Perfect place to go.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
You've just listened to the Inside Scoop on Outside Sales Podcast with your host, Trey Gibson. Please feel free to leave us a review and subscribe to our channel so you can catch our next episode. Thank you for listening.